Before we begin this next episode, I just stopped by to let you know that our 100th episode is coming up. This is huge. So if you are listening to this message in real time, in honor of our 100th episode, I will be going live on Thursday, October the 30th at 1:30 p.m. Pacific time. That is 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. I will also be joined by Jasmine from Pink Lady Productions, who has been rocking with me and Dem Bois Podcast since episode 1. This will be a chance for us to engage with you as our listeners and followers. So tune in to watch me answer questions about my personal journey, Dem Bois Podcast, and Dem Bois Inc. You will also get the opportunity to ask questions and hear them answered live, unrehearsed and unscripted. So please join me live on October the 30th on all platforms. I hope to see you there. My next guest I had the privilege to sit down with is the founder and lead producer of Pink Lady Productions. She is also a podcast host, and she has been with Dem Bois Podcast since day 1 and episode 1. She is a part of the planning process. She has been a coach to me and also a creative director. And so in layman's terms, she is about her business and she is about her shit. And so this episode is another episode within my highlights series where I bring folks on that work alongside me within Dem Bois Inc. and also within Dem Bois Podcast, who also care about the care and visibility for trans men of color. And so this is a really great episode because it gives you an inside look into Dem Bois Podcast from episode 1 until where we are now. And so this is a really great episode. I hope that you enjoy.
Dem Bois, Dem Bois, amplifying trans men of color voices, yeah, we here making noise, yeah, making noise, yeah, visibility.
Welcome to Dem Bois Podcast. I'm your host, Shawn Aaron, he, him, his. My next guest has been with Dem Bois Podcast since day 1. She is part of the planning process, and she is also like the creative director, coach, curator, and custodian of all of our stories. So welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much, Shawn. I'm so glad to be here. Very excited to talk to you.
Yes. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself for folks to know who you are, name and pronouns?
Absolutely. So my name is Jasmine Gary, aka Pink Lady. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the producer for Dem Bois Podcast. I am the owner and creator of Pink Lady Productions, which is a production company that specializes in podcasting for queers, entrepreneurs, and women of color. And I like to say I like to produce so that I can take all the weight off of my clients' shoulders so that they can focus on their creative endeavors. They can focus on hosting or, whatever it is that they do. They can focus solely on that because we know that podcasting takes a lot of work, right? So yes, that's what I like to do.
Yes. Taking the weight off of the shoulders. My shoulders are light, y'all. I don't have no weight on these shoulders. So you are the founder and lead producer of Pink Lady Productions. You're also a podcast host. You want to tell folks a little bit more about Pink Lady Productions and what you do?
Yes, absolutely. So you mentioned the podcast, so I'll start there. It's funny because the podcast came way after. I was producing for a while first. And then I'm like, yeah, I can do this. I can do the other side of this too. So my first podcast was Podcasting is the New Kink. So that has grown. At first, it was just like me journaling out loud. And it became more of a space to talk about production, to talk about different types of media, books, TV, film, all different things, sometimes books that have been turned into TVs and films and things like that. So yeah, it's a fun place to get to know me. And then the second podcast is called Bet on Yourself, Sis. That's my baby now. It's all about Black women entrepreneurs. So we tell our stories, we talk, we chat, we give advice, we give insight. We talk about all the challenges, because it ain't easy out here. But we talk about triumphs and our wins too. So we have a great time. And Pink Lady Productions is behind both of those podcasts. We're behind Dem Bois Podcast. Go check out my website, pinkladyprod.com, so you can see all the podcasts that I have worked on. But yeah, we're just all about amplifying the voices of others, right? People who have been others. So that includes Black women, right? That includes trans people, that includes queer people, all of the people who are, like I said, othered, right? People who in history, our voices have been silenced or, have been changed to fit a narrative and things like that. So, yeah, all about hearing our stories from our voice.
Beautiful. I love that. So, since you've been with us since day one, you know what I ask everybody. So I'm going to ask you the same thing, right? So Pink Lady, how did that name choose you?
Yeah, and I love this question. So pink has been my color forever. I love pink. You asked my mom, like when I came out, I was talking about I love pink. Most kids that age don't even have a favorite color, but I've always loved pink. So what I love about pink is like depending on who you ask, depending on where you are in the world, depending on your age, you're gonna get a different thing when people talk about the color pink, right? Some people say it's a feminine color. Some people say it's a masculine color, right? Depending on different parts of history, it has been all of those things, right? Some people say it's a youthful color. Some people say it's a color for older people, right? So it's so many different things. But I think the one thing that most people get from pink, I think I can generalize this a little bit, is a very calming color, right? Or it can be either calming or like really energetic. And I think that is like really me. It kind of describes me very well, I think, because you're going to get a very calm vibe with me and Pink Lady Productions, right? But you're going to get that energy where you need it. You're not going to get the energy everywhere, right? So yeah, Pink Lady came from me loving the color pink. My aunt and a few of my cousins and my family always used to call me Lady Pink. But when thinking about that in business, it was like Lady Pink Productions. I don't like the sound of that. Let me flip it. So Pink Lady Productions. I like that. I like how it sounds. How things sound is very important to me. We're in audio, right? So how it rolls off the tongue, that felt a lot better. So Pink Lady Productions.
I love that. Like I love hearing these coming to stories of like names, and to just even as a business to know that you have this story of how you came up with the name. I love that. And so I want to ask you, so as the lead producer for Dem Bois Podcast, so for folks that don't know, right? So what are the specific tasks that you do for us here at Dem Bois Podcast?
Absolutely. So Shawn, you give me the audio, and now you're going to start giving me video. We're going to start doing reels and things like that. But yeah, you give me the audio, and I kind of do the works. I do the editing. I do the show notes. I give you some graphics so that you can promote on social media. I make sure it's distributed so people can listen and tune in. And yeah, I make sure it has a polished look, and I try to keep all of our systems down so that, again, the weight is off of your shoulders. You give me what I need, and I give you all of these other things.
Yes. Listen, y'all, Jasmine be doing the work. Like
Thank you.
Everything, right? Everything y'all see on social media, all the graphics, all of the audiograms, the beautiful audio through the episodes, wherever you listen to it, Spotify, Apple, on our website, the ads, everything is curated by Jasmine, right? Just like you said, I just record. I got the easy job, right? Well, not necessarily easy, but I got the job where I just record the audio and then I say, Jasmine, do your thing, right? And it comes out as beautiful as you all have grown to love with Dem Bois Podcast. And so, Jasmine, we are 1 week away from the 100th episode.
Oh my gosh.
100 episodes, yo. Like we've been rocking with each other since episode 1, right?
Yeah.
And so how have you seen this podcast grow? And so this is like 2 questions, right? How have you seen the podcast grow from episode 1 to now episode 100? And also, what growth have you witnessed in me as a host?
Yeah. So I'll talk about that first, because I think I love progress and I love seeing growth. And I think you have absolutely shown that in the comfortability of how you speak, in the confidence in how you speak, in the curiosity in your questions. I think as a producer, right, one of the things that that lets me know that somebody is doing a great interview is when I think of a question, they ask that question. And you do that, right? Because I think a lot that happens a lot. It's like, no, I need you to ask about this. This is what I want to know, right? The audience is like begging for certain things, and the host is like skirting around it. And it's like, no, let's get to the meat. Let's get to, the feelings. Let's get to the challenges and how we overcame those things. Let's get to the like not so comfortable things, right? Like everything doesn't have to be comfortable and joyous, right? I think it's really important to talk about those challenges and those uncomfortable moments so that we can really celebrate the wins, right? And the getting through them and all of that. So your growth as a host has been tremendous, I think. And then the growth of the podcast, it's my baby, right? I know it's your baby, Shawn, and I'm like the nanny, but like it's my baby. The structure of the podcast has changed so much. We've tried things that haven't worked. We've tried things that definitely work that will continue on, right? We've tried things that like make it more personal to you, make it more personal to the audience. The community that you've grown with this podcast, I think is amazing. The network that you have, right? So yeah, lots of growth. I just think it's amazing. I love watching it. I love seeing it.
Yeah. Do you remember how nervous I was from the very first episode? I was like, I don't know what to do.
Yes. From the beginning, one of the things I could always recognize is your storytelling abilities, the skills we were just talking about before we were recording. Shawn, you have a skill of like organizing things in your head, and most people don't. So that is an absolute skill. That is an absolute, a great thing for a host to have. So yeah, I just think it's really, really cool to see.
Yeah. And we were talking about that, right? Of how like I don't take any notes. Like, and I do that because I want it to be as organic as possible, right? I want folks and guests to feel like, yo, I'm just talking to the homie, right? And so like I remember the very first episode, I used to research the shit out of people. Like I mean, and I already knew people, right? Because I like I've said before, I'm a stalker on social media. So if I've asked you personally to be here, that's because I've been stalking you for a long time, right? So I kind of know about you, right? And so, but it made me so damn nervous. And so then I would have all these questions written out and I wouldn't read none of them. Right. And I realized that for one makes me nervous and I'm not able to talk freely because I'm reading a script per se. Right. But when I come from the heart and I come from just spitting, just organic, it's almost like a freestyle rapper. Right. Yeah. Then it just feels right. It just feels right to me.
And your audience can feel that. Your audience can absolutely tell when you're nervous and when you're like skating around the good questions, the hard questions, right? They can tell when you're being just like on the surface. And a lot of the time we're like, go deeper. So yeah, and it's like you don't want to offend your guests, right? So it's kind of finding a balance of how do I ask these questions, but how do I also show empathy so that like that I'm coming from a genuine place and a place of curiosity and not like trying to badger you down or trying to, show off or anything like that.
Right. And so, 100 episodes and we have more to go, right? We just started season 4, right? And for folks that don't know, people ask me all the time, what is a season? What does a season consist of? You keep saying these damn seasons. Well, seasons for us is 1 year, which is 32 episodes, right? And so we do 8 batches of 8, and then we take a month off so we can relax, we can rejuvenate, we can collaborate together and then, work on the next 8, right? And so my question to you is, what do you see in the future of Dem Bois Podcast?
Ooh. So I definitely see you doing some live episodes, and whether that means live online, live in person. I just see more creating spaces for trans men of color, because this podcast is for. That's the whole point of this podcast, right? And I think, especially now, and for the foreseeable future, it is really important to create places where people can feel safe and where people can feel like they're not going to be judged, and where we can talk freely and plan and strategize, but also like celebrate and find joy. So live shows for sure, creating spaces for trans men of color and more amplifying voices.
Yes, y'all. She said live episodes. That made me nervous
Yes.
as hell. We talked about this. And so we gonna manifest that is going to
Yes.
happen. I got the confidence when this is being recorded. I ain't got the confidence just yet to be doing this live. But if folks want to see me go live, or you may have questions that you want me to answer live, be sure to plug into these episodes. And remember that you can text and live while you listen to the episode. You can text and give us feedback on these episodes. And so that's a good chance to say, hey, yo, I want to hear you answer this question. You should go live.
Yes.
Yo, pump me up, motivate me, community, to actually get this out. I think Jasmine gonna make me do it anyway, so I don't think I have anything to do with it. So.
Oh, you thought you had a choice?
Yeah,
No.
yeah. See, that's how podcast producer works, y'all. They make you do things and get you out of your comfort zone. See, this is. I'm blinking twice. This is the kind of this is how I'm being treated. For folks that don't know, blinking twice is kind of like a code of like, yo, I'm in trouble, save me, danger. Right. So,
but so he doesn't mean it. He's fine.
Yeah, I'm okay, y'all. I'm being held accountable, and I'm being nurtured in a way that helps me to grow as a host and helps the show to grow as a podcast. And so, Jasmine, you just mentioned about trans men of color, right? And this is the demographic of folks who are guests on this show. And so it's a much different gender identity than yourself, right? And so as the podcast producer, as you've heard the stories, and in the introduction, I said that you are the custodian. And so what I mean by that is that not the custodian like you used to see in high school. They got all the keys on the loop, right? But the custodian where you are literally the first person to hear other people's stories other than myself. Right. And some folks are talking about raw and vulnerable things, and you're holding the space for that. Right. You holding the container of that. And we've had episodes where you like, ooh, that was an emotional one, Jasmine. Did you feel that? And you're like, ooh, yeah, I cried. Right. We have those moments. Right.
Yeah.
And with editing the episodes, we don't like to cut out things unless a guest says, hey, I don't want to talk about that, and I don't want folks to know about that. But majority of the time, everything that I'm saying with the guest on the show is aired later on, right after the editing process. And so going back to your gender identity being different from myself as a transmasculine person and other guests, from listening to other folks' stories, have you experienced any shifts in your perspective of the transmas community or the trans community in general?
I think my main perspective shift, if I had to have one, or if I've had one, is just that I can't generalize because, like you said, you're not monolithic and everyone's story is different. I feel so privileged to be able to hear all of these stories. And what I love is hearing things that I can connect to. No, we don't have the same identity, but there's so many things in hearing these stories that I absolutely connect to. Body dysphoria is something that I've experienced, absolutely, right? And like feeling judged and just different things, right? Like, and yes, it is on a different level. I can admit that I'm a cis person, right? So I feel good in this body, right? I feel right in this body, right? So that's a privilege that, other people don't necessarily have. But with that privilege, it gives me, I guess, like permission to like celebrate with you too. I'm trying to think of the right way to say it, but I think that's exactly what I'm trying to say. Like, because I recognize that I have a privilege, right? That recognition allows me to celebrate our differences and celebrate the things that we have in common too, our similarities. So yeah, I always find it so interesting because it's like sometimes I'm listening to the episode and I'm like, I've literally felt this same way. Like, no, the situation isn't the same. It's oftentimes very different, but the feeling. So yeah, I feel just very privileged, very blessed to be able to hear these stories, not only hear the stories to, I want to say the word clean it up, but only cleaning up, talking about literally just the sound, making sure that it is digestible for other people, right? Because I want to amplify their voices, right? That's the whole point of the podcast. So in amplifying the voices, the editor in me is like, okay, I can take out certain things, I can cut out certain things, still allowing it to sound like a genuine conversation, because that's what it is. But just taking out things that may be a little distracting, or sounds. I'm literally just talking about like sounds and things, background noise that may be a little distracting or something like that. But like you said, keeping it as genuine and as original as possible. Like, I don't want to censor anything, right? These are your words, and I want them to come out the way you said them. And again, it's just a blessing to be able to do that.
Hey, this is Joel Simu, production assistant for Dem Bois Podcast. Looking to connect with others in the community? You'll love our brand new space, Dem Bois Community Voices, on Facebook. We created this private, moderated group specifically for trans men of color to share experiences, discuss episodes, and support each other on this journey. Ready to join us? Just click the link in our show notes to become part of this growing community.
The Visibility Equals Possibility collection has new designs and a new designer, me. My name is Zion, pronouns he, him, his, and I was on episode 53 if you want to go back and check that out. But I am the second trans man of color to design for the Visibility Equals Possibility collection. Dem Bois believes visibility equals possibility, and so do I. I am honored to take part in this groundbreaking collection and look forward to seeing what else the collection has in store. My designs represent having confidence and courage to be bold with your visibility. The design, in my mind, says, take the caution you need, but I am here. I hope you all enjoy the designs, and be sure to purchase some designs from me or Emilio to support gender-affirming programs by Dem Bois. Find the amazing designs of the Visibility Equals Possibility collection and other merch items that I've designed on the Dem Bois shop at dembois.org. That's DEMBOI as in igloo, s.org. And remember, visibility equals possibility.
Thank you so much for just holding space for us. Right. And hold a space for our stories. And
I want to say one more thing. I'm sorry, because I hear something that I hear a lot is that a lot of Black women are not real allies. Right.
You better say that.
It makes me want to be better, want to be more of an ally. Right. It makes me just want to hold space more, because I have conversations with women all the time, and it's like, damn, that's really how you think. Right. Like it's. Yeah. We won't go there. I just want to say that, like, I want to be a real ally, right? I don't want to be an ally on the surface or on social media, right? Like, no, that's how I actually live my life, and that's how I want to. That's how I want to live my life.
I love that. And I also want to go back just a little bit, because you said in editing in editing all of the episodes, sometimes you find and you're like, oh shit, I felt that same way. And I love that you said that, because that just goes to show that we all have this human experience, right? And even though our gender identities are different, we still have, it's bringing the humanness into it, right? We all have these stories. We all have this trauma. We all have these different experiences, but it's all part of the human experience, right? And so, outside of the negative connotations in the media of like, we just this, trans people are this evil. It's just so many things going on right now that we are being targeted, right? And just from words alone, right? And just think the repercussions of just the harshness of the words that promotes harm actions from other people, right? And this is the point of this podcast, right? Is to show that we have these experiences as human beings. Yes, I'm a transmasculine person, right? Yes, I was assigned female at birth, but like I have some of these same experiences as you as another human being, right?
Yep. Exactly.
Man, it just give me chills that you said that, because like that hits the nail on the head, because that is the point, right?
Yeah.
That's why we're here. That's why the podcast is here, right? So people can see us, right? See us, and ultimately with the podcast, hear us.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So, man. So Jasmine, what if somebody listening, they're like, yo, I want to do a podcast too. I got this idea in my head. I want to do it. Jasmine, you sound wonderful. You sound great, but I don't think I'm going to hire you as a podcast producer. So let's be clear here, right? That you're not doing this out of the goodness of your heart. That's not a part of your mission. That's not a part of your ministry. Yeah. That's not a part of your allyship, right? Because we still got bills and shit to pay and all of that, right? Absolutely. So your services come at a cost. Yo, and you are good at what you do. So I'm going to give you your flowers now. You are amazing at what you do. So what if somebody listening say, yeah, I want to start a podcast, but I don't think I need you, Jasmine. Right? I can do this shit all on my own. Yeah, okay. But anyway, I'm not going to discourage anybody. If you could do it on your own, do it by all means. However you're going to get your story out there, do it. But what, as a podcast producer, what value can you bring to someone who has that idea of wanting to do it themselves?
Absolutely. I love this question. So first, what I would say to somebody who asks me that, because I talk to people all the time who say things like that, like, I want some guidance, but this will be it, because I don't want to actually hire you. I just want to bounce some ideas off of you. And cool, I will do for free. That I like to do, right? But yeah, like you said, we live in America. We live in a capitalist society. We got to make money. I would say to do it, to try it, so that you can see what it really is. Because most people think podcasting is just getting up here, talking, and that's it. Somehow, from me sitting here talking, it's going to get out to the masses, and I'm going to become famous, right? That is just the magic of podcasting. No. So when you actually try it, you realize, oh no, this is crazy, right? So think about why you hire anybody for anything. Think about why I love the analogy of like, I'm the nanny, right? So think about why people hire nannies, why people hire even babysitters, right? Because you may not have a nanny. Nannies go so far as to like maybe live with you, right? To like raise your children pretty much like every day, right? But it doesn't have to go that far. Some people have babysitters, right? You might hire a babysitter once or twice a month or something, right? When you just really need that extra help. Why do we go out to restaurants to eat, right? Why do we hire chefs? Things like that, right? Like, people have different expertise. Your expertise is probably not podcasting. Your expertise is probably in whatever you want to talk about. That's why you want to have a podcast. That's why you have a message that needs to get out there, right? So I would just say to think about your expertise and to think about why people hire anyone to do anything. I have a specific expertise, and it's in audio, it's in podcasting. So what are my services? What do I actually do, right? So that's having somebody to, number one, bounce ideas off of, right? Things don't happen in a vacuum. Nobody does anything alone, right? So it's always good to have somebody to go to with ideas, who has an expertise in that field, who can give you some guidance on how things work. So that's number one. Number two, with the expertise, right? I've done it. I know how to do it. I can guide you along the way. And again, right, it can be so far as to, we can work together, like weekly, and we can build this thing together, or it can be as so small that, it's a range of jobs. So it can be something like, you just want me to do the editing, right? Because in your expertise, editing is a job that will take a really long time. It's something that I can do in a lot shorter time, and that's something that, is off of your plate, So that's another thing. It's the idea bouncer, right? Like we can bounce ideas off of each other. I can help you with that. I can be a guide for you along your journey because everybody needs some guidance, right? And then the expertise, right? Like is somebody who has done exactly what you're trying to do and who can like really give you the tools to get to where you're trying to go. So yeah.
Yes. Thank you for all of that. And I want to say that the most valuable asset we have as people is our time.
Oh yeah.
That is the most valuable asset. That's an asset that you can't make up and you can't get back. And so why would you now listen, if I had to produce this podcast, y'all probably would have heard about 2 episodes, and even if that, right? Because you got to learn how to do this, learn how to do that. You got to, perfect it. Jasmine already got that in the bag, right? You already got the experience. You already have the education. You already have all of these things as prepared, as ready to go, right? And so why not save the very most important asset that you have, and that's your time, right? You already spent an hour talking to somebody or talking about your level of expertise. Why you want to spend another 2-3 hours of your time trying to put it all together to get it out there to the world? Yo, Jasmine can do it real quick and do it an amazing job at it, right? So, Jasmine, where can someone learn more about you?
Yeah, so you can visit my website. That's pinkladyprod.com, PINKLADYPROD.com. And that's all my social media is on there too. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm on YouTube. All of that is Pink Lady Prod. So just Google Pink Lady Prod and all this stuff will come up.
Nice. You got your SEO intact.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and if you don't know what SEO is, that's what a podcast producer will help you with.
Yes. Yeah, we did that.
Right. So Jasmine, I want to ask you this real quick, because you're talking about, being an asset and adding value to someone and their ideas as a podcast host. So how many other Black women do you know in the field of podcast producing?
So I'll just say not enough. We'll put it like that. One of my values is definitely supporting Black women, especially, right? But Black people in this space. Because there are just not enough of us. I was talking to, I did an interview earlier today, and we were talking about, so this is specific to podcast hosts, but I think it is, I think I can generalize and have this about podcast producers too, because I would say the numbers are about the same. But if you look at the charts, right, and you look at like the top 100 podcasts, right, number one, they're usually the same over and over and over and over again. But then if you look at, the color of the hosts and the audience of who the podcast is for, there are not many of us, So I want to say it's twofold, right? Because on the one hand, I think it is by design that it's not easy for us to find each other. That is the one thing, right? Because it's funny, because once I do find these spaces, for example, Afros and Audio, right? They're in their like 7th year. I found them maybe in their like 4th year. So it's like they've been around, they've been doing what they need to do to get out there, right? But again, it is by design that it's not easy for us to find each other. So not enough Black women in the space. Black women, come on, let's do this. Come on over. I'm inviting you. If you needed an invitation, consider this your invitation. Bring it all over. But yeah, the Black women producers that I know are the shit. They are amazing. And I will definitely share a few in the show notes. Just because, I'm biased. Black women are amazing. But yeah, to answer your question, not enough. We need more.
You definitely need more. Well, I don't need more. I already got you, so I don't need nobody else. So we good for me. But for other folks, right, you have the opportunity to we ain't gonna hold Jasmine up for too long, but there we can talk about the importance of supporting Black business, the benefits in supporting Black women, right? Uplifting Black women. That could be an episode. Masculinity and how we can help to support Black women.
Because if you look at the forefront of any movement, who is there? Black women.
Black women.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I absolutely believe that giving is reciprocal. I absolutely believe in karma. So like what I put out is gonna come back to me. I absolutely believe that. But yeah, we need help.
Yeah,
you know, like it doesn't always have to be Black women at the forefront. We got, everybody else can help too.
Yeah, for sure. And Jasmine, you not getting away. You know how this show go. You know what's coming up next. Like this is the part of the show where I ask guests random ass questions. You already know my list right now is at 78 questions. So,
78.
Yes,
wow.
I'm always putting something in there. And so, Jasmine, pick a number between 1 and 78, and I'll read you that question.
All right, I'm going to do 25.
Yo, this is in alignment with this show. Number 25 says, "What is your superpower?"
Ooh. Okay. So I'm gonna answer this in two ways. So I think my superpower in production, in like the podcasting world, I think I will say I'm gonna frame it as integrity. That's not really the word that I'm looking for, and I'm gonna explain why. But the word that comes to mind right now is integrity. It's the fact that I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest with you, but I'm gonna do it with care. I think that is sorely lacking in the world, but especially in business. I feel like people, just want to say stuff and don't want to use empathy. Don't want to, say it with care. Like you just want to say whatever you want. And it's like, yeah, you may be right, but people will listen to you more if you use a little more care in how you're saying things. So I think that is, I think that's a real superpower, because I think a lot of times you have to have these conversations that are not easy. Sometimes you got to talk about like what's not working. And especially in those conversations, like, yeah, a little empathy could go a long way. So I would say that's one of my superpowers. And then I think organizing, I think, is another superpower. And actually, I'm not sure which one is in like business in the podcasting world and which one's in life. They're kind of interchangeable now that I think about it. But I'm really good at like taking a vision and putting it down on paper and making it real, I guess. Like bringing your vision to life. I'm really good at planning and organizing and like really taking these things that are up in dream world and bringing it down and making it real in our world.
I love that. Jasmine, you want to leave a question?
Ooh.
For other folks to answer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. What does your voice sound like telling your story?
Ooh.
So in that, I'll kind of try to explain it a little bit, because we're all on this, I'm all about like amplifying your voice, right? I'm all about telling our stories through our voice, right? So I think it's very important to, number one, like, what does your voice actually sound like? And I don't mean like literally, how does your voice sound? I mean, like, what are the words you use, right? Like, what do you get passionate about? What like really lights you up when you're speaking? Those type of things. Like, how does that sound? How do you sound when you're like really passionate about something? And then telling your story through that voice. What does that sound like?
That is a very good question. And it just loops back into your profession as being a podcast producer, because your expertise is sound. And so what does your voice sound like, right? I know what my voice sound like. Jasmine, you know what your voice sound like?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I think I'm getting there, right? Like, I think the more I speak and the more I have opportunities like this to like really reflect, I think the more I'm like coming into my own. Absolutely.
I love that. And so we done, Jasmine. Is there any last words, comments, or things of encouragement that you would like to offer folks that are listening?
Yeah, I just want to say, like, if you feel like you have a message, get it out. I think a lot of us, we have a message, right? We have a voice, right? And how do you find that voice? What I just say, by taking opportunities to speak, taking opportunities to reflect. And it doesn't always have to be something like this, right? Like, reflecting can be something you do on your own. Speaking can be something that you do on your own, right? And I think that's the way that you build that muscle so that you can tell your story, because you have your story for a reason. You have that message for a reason, and you are the person to tell it for a reason. So hone that, practice, and tell your story.
Yes, and tell your story. Why though? Because visibility equals possibility.
Yes.
Dem Bois, amplifying, transmitting color voices, yeah, we here making noise, making noise, Dem Bois, Dem Bois.